Hi everyone, here's what's bothering me today. I was actually initially going to try and do a video about the current general strike in Korea, but right now I was reminded while doing that of something very interesting with regards to household debt levels, and it's something that has actually been bothering me for a while, and I think it's time to finally talk about it. So in the video that I was originally going to do, and an article I was using for reference, I came across this part in it. Despite an ostensible democratic transition in the late 1980s, the South Korean people have no ownership of South Korea's economy. The average household's debts amount to almost double their annual income. And yeah, that reminds me of how a lot of people, especially banks and economists, love to talk about household debt and why it's a problem and why we should all be concerned and we need to tighten our belts. And they do this for most developed countries, case in point, here in Canada. From Global News on May 20th, 2021, Canadian households are taking on too much debt, Bank of Canada warns. On August 26, 2021, and there was also a CNBC report just like a week later on September 3rd, driven by mortgages, U.S. household debt hits new high. U.S. household debt climbed to a record high of $15 trillion in the second quarter of 2021, apparently. And across the pond, over in the UK, their version of their national statistics board or whatever, also has this revelation. The total stock of UK household debt, excluding student loans, was equivalent to around 123% of total household income, materially below its 2008 peak of around 145%. Of this, mortgage debt accounts for around 4/5 and consumer credit about 1/5 of the total. And in the land down under, there's this piece from September 9th. Household debt is likely to hit record levels this year, according to new analysis. Household debt, so bad. Oh, it's actually a problem because, that's a vulnerability in the economy and we can't have that. Hold on a hot fucking second. You assholes in the banking sector and just in government in general, through your rampant greed and inaction, have pushed this to be the only course open to so many people. When you fail to actually build enough housing for people, and especially affordable housing, and make it so that everyone and their dog can bid like $500,000 over asking price on a home that is, listed for $450,000, but it's worth only about $250,000. And you just make it so easy for people to access credit and liquidity. Yeah, no wonder household debt is at record levels. You have done nothing substantial to help millions of people, whether they're Canadians, Australians, Brits, Americans, Koreans, etc., etc. I can't believe I apparently need to have to spell this out to the actual bankers and economists in charge of the economy. You don't like how so many of us have large amounts of household debt? Well then get your act together and actually rein in your greed and settle with still pretty grotesque profits, but enable a stronger safety net for people so that it makes a more robust economy. That helps you guys, right? But no, instead, the people who have introduced and campaigned for our governments to loosen the regulations and make, oh, come on, we just need more people to access more credit because then we make even more money and that makes the economy look like it's doing really well, even though it actually isn't in reality. But you guys get to say, look how good the economy is doing, and we walk away with billions of dollars in profits. Everybody wins, except us, who are left to do what needs to be done to, again, keep up the facade of the middle class. Notice how a lot of those headlines were about mortgages. So it's people, again, trying to buy a house. Well, we'll just have to try and deal with the mortgage. This kind of came back and bit us all in the ass in 2008. Things are a little bit different now, but that's a whole topic for another time. But instead, right here, right now, people, namely bankers and governments, are making it so hard for people to live and support themselves because there aren't enough, just at cost governmental supports, that people are needing to dip into savings or juggle credit cards and pay off a credit card with another credit card so that they can still continue to try and enjoy a standard of living that either they enjoyed when they were younger or that their parents enjoyed. And part of the whole myth of, yeah, everything keeps getting better, right? And so it becomes ever more stretched and under tension because of greed and just neglect by government governments and big business that has led to incredibly high amounts of household debt in the world's most developed economies. And they wag their pretentious fucking fingers at people trying to scrape by and provide for themselves and their families, while these people literally sit on top of like penthouse suites with like $1,000 bottles of champagne and say, oh, it's the poor who really need to tighten their belts. Have y'all looked in mirrors lately? This talk and concern about household debt is absolute BS, and it needs to die, because the reason why there's so much of this in the first place is precisely because of bankers pressuring governments to do the absolute worst things possible that benefits the banks, but it doesn't benefit us, the actual people who live in this country, who actually support and make up the economy and fill their coffers with billions and billions of dollars. If household debt is such a problem, oh beloved bankers, then maybe you shouldn't have created the groundwork that led to this happening in the first place. And the fact that you jackasses can't see this or understand this, despite being economists, is absolutely what's bothering me today.